Welcome to Block and Wealth. This is the show where we take your most important sources, your notes, your research, and really distill them down.
That's right. We aim to get you those crucial insights you need to be truly well-informed, but, without all the overwhelm. And today, we're doing a really crucial deep dive. We're looking at the foundations of financial intelligence, wealth creation.
We'll be leaning heavily on Robert Kiyosaki's big one, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, really digging into how changing your view on money can actually reshape your whole financial future.
Our mission really is to get past just earning a paycheck. It's about understanding how to make your money genuinely work for you.
Exactly, giving you a new lens, focusing on the psychology, the mechanics of wealth. And we'll even touch on how these ideas show up elsewhere, like in a specific podcast structure we found in the sources.
Okay, let's get into it. Kiyosaki's core thinking, it starts with his upbringing, which was, pretty unique.
Very unique. He had two main financial mentors, right?
Yeah, his poor dad, who was highly educated, big on school, job security, the traditional route.
And then the rich dad. Less formal schooling, but incredibly sharp financially. Taught him about making money work for you.
And what's really insightful, I think, isn't just the contrast. It's how having these two different viewpoints forced Robert to think for himself.
That's such a key point, isn't it? Having these two respected figures giving conflicting advice, it made him actively wrestle with these financial ideas.
He had to choose, apply some critical thinking.
And that process, that thinking for yourself, turned out to be way more valuable than just accepting one side or the other. It's like developing your own internal money compass.
And it really shines a light on a bigger issue, doesn't it? That money stuff, it's mostly taught at home, not really in schools. Which is why you can see very smart, highly educated people, doctors, bankers, whatever, who are great at their jobs.
But still struggle financially. Yeah, they've got the professional skills down pat, but that financial literacy piece is missing. And the source even mentions, huge national debts aren't just about complex economics. Sometimes it's highly educated leaders making money decisions without much practical financial training themselves.
That's a sobering thought.
It really makes you wonder, if the people teaching about money are struggling, what kind of financial future are we building?
It seems to keep coming back to mindset.
Definitely.
Kiyosaki really stresses the huge difference between saying, I can't afford it, versus asking, okay, how can I afford it?
Yes, and the insight there is profound. One phrase just slams the door on your thinking, stops it cold.
Right, dead end.
But the other one, how can I afford it? It forces your brain to get creative, to problem solve. It opens up possibilities you maybe didn't even consider.
And that connects to another really critical idea he talks about.
Which one's that?
The difference between being broke and being poor. Broke is temporary, poor is eternal.
Ooh, that's a powerful one. It's not just wordplay, is it?
Not at all. The power is realizing that lacking cash right now doesn't have to be your identity forever.
Right. Broke is just a situation, a circumstance. But poor, in his view, is more like a mindset, a kind of learned helplessness.
So it forces you to ask, am I genuinely stuck, or do I just believe I'm stuck? It's about shifting from victim to agent, even when things are tight.
Which fits with his idea about power. Money is a form of power, sure.
But financial education, that's even more powerful.
Exactly. It gives you power over the money.
Yeah.
It suggests, just thinking positively isn't enough if you don't actually understand how money works.
Yeah, positive thinking needs strategy behind it.
Absolutely. Money comes and goes.
Yeah.
But if you know how it operates, you have lasting power. You can build and rebuild wealth.
That explains why some people with amazing grades struggle financially. They learn how to work for money.
But not how to make money work for them. It's a fundamental difference.
Okay, so that leads us right into Kiyosaki's first big lesson.
Lesson 1. The rich don't work for money.
Simple, but huge. The poor and middle class spend their lives working for money. The rich focus on getting money to work for them. It's a total flip of the usual script.
And this started super early for Robert. Remember that story from his childhood? Him and his friend Mike?
The counterfeit nickels.
Yeah. Trying to literally make money by melting down old lead toothpaste tubes. Wild stuff.
Sounds completely illegal, and it was. But his rich dad used it somehow.
He did. He saw past the illegality of it. He used it as this practical early lesson.
What was the lesson then, if it wasn't about counterfeiting?
Rich Dad explained that their instinct to create money was actually closer to how the rich think. The crucial difference, obviously, is that individuals can't legally just print money. Governments and banks do that.
Okay.
But the deeper lesson was that money itself is really just an idea, an agreement, kind of an illusion, like the carrot dangling in front of the donkey.
So don't chase the carrot.
Understand what moves the carrot. Understand the system.
And he argues that not understanding this is what traps people in the rat race.
Exactly. Wake up, go to work, earn money, pay bills, spend what's left, repeat.
Driven by fear and desire.
Right. Fear of not having enough, fear of being fired,
Yeah.
and desire for, stuff, possessions. But money earned and spent that way rarely brings peace of mind. It's a trap.
Which flows right into lesson 2.
It's not how much money you make.
It's how much money you keep. That's a core message he repeats a lot. Success isn't about the size of your paycheck.
It's about your ability to hold on to it and make it grow.
He uses that story about the businessmen from 1923, right, to illustrate this.
Yeah, a really stark example. You had these titans of industry back then, head of the biggest steel company, president of the NYSE, huge names, massively wealthy in 1923.
But flash forward 25 years.
Many of them ended up broke, dead by suicide, or even in prison. Their incredible wealth didn't save them.
Why? Because they lacked financial intelligence.
That's his argument. Money alone doesn't solve money problems. In fact, it can often amplify them if you don't know how to manage it. And that's maybe even more true today with how fast things change.
He uses that analogy of building a house, right?
Yeah, building a skyscraper. You wouldn't build it on just a thin 6-inch slab of concrete. You need a deep, strong foundation.
And that foundation is financial literacy. Without it, any sudden wealth, like a lottery win or even just a raise, can just crumble away.
Which is why understanding assets and liabilities is so fundamental. It's the bedrock.
And Rich Dad's definitions are beautifully simple. An asset.
Puts money in your pocket.
A liability.
Takes money out of your pocket. End of story.
Okay, but if it's that simple, why isn't everyone rich? What's the catch? What do people miss? Especially, say, with their own home.
That's the crucial point. The common mistake is buying things you think are assets, but they actually function as liabilities. Your main home is the classic example.
Because even if it goes up in value eventually.
Month after month, it's taking money out of your pocket. Mortgage, property taxes, insurance, upkeep, repairs.
So it's draining cash flow.
Precisely. The insight is you have to categorize based on cash flow, not just potential appreciation or, emotional attachment. Does it feed you or do you feed it?
And the diagrams he uses make this super clear, visualizing the cash flow patterns.
Exactly. You can literally see the difference. For the poor and middle class, income comes in, goes straight out to expenses and liabilities.
Like a leaky bucket.
Pretty much. But for the wealthy, income comes in, flows into the asset column,
And those assets generate more income.
creating this positive feedback loop. That's how wealth builds. It's about directing the flow.
Okay, so we understand assets versus liabilities, the rat race. What's next? You mentioned a strategic play.
Right, lesson 3. Mind your own business.
And this isn't just advice for entrepreneurs, is it? It's broader than that.
Much broader. It's about understanding the difference between your profession, your job, where you work for someone else, and your business.
Your business being your asset column.
Exactly. Building up things that generate income for you. Too many people spend their whole lives focused on their job, minding someone else's business, making their boss rich.
While neglecting their own financial independence.
That's it. A promotion or better job is great, but only if you use that extra money to buy or build real assets for yourself.
So what qualifies as a real asset then, according to Rich Dad?
He gives clear examples, things like businesses that can run without you actually having to be there day to day.
Like owning a franchise or maybe some rental properties managed by someone else.
Exactly. Also stocks, bonds, mutual funds, paper assets. Income-generating real estate is a big one for him. Notes, like IOUs where people owe you money. Royalties from intellectual property books, music, patents.
Okay.
Basically anything that produces income, appreciates in value, and has a ready market if you needed to sell it. His advice: buy assets you love because you'll actually pay attention to them.
I love that idea he presents, that once a dollar goes into your asset column, it becomes like an employee.
Yes, working for you 24/7. Never sleeps, doesn't complain.
And it can work for generations, potentially. It totally reframes how you see every single dollar you get.
It shifts it from just spending money to investment capital. And this ties into what he calls the luxury trap.
How so?
The rich, he says, buy luxuries last. They wait until their assets generate enough income to pay for the fancy car or the big trip.
Makes sense. Let the assets pay for it.
But the poor and middle class, often they buy luxuries first, maybe on credit, using their own hard-earned income, or even debt.
Which just digs the hole deeper, puts more pressure on the paycheck.
Exactly. It's a huge difference in financial discipline and priorities.
All right, this leads us into lesson 4, which sounds a bit controversial. The history of taxes and the power of corporations.
Yeah, he has a distinct perspective here. He talks about taxes originally being intended for the rich. Sort of a Robin Hood idea.
Tax the rich to help the poor.
Right. But his argument is that the government's need for money inevitably grew, and taxes eventually hit the middle class the hardest. The rich often found ways around them.
Through corporations?
That's a big part of it. Corporations started way back, partly to limit risk for risky ventures like shipping voyages. If the ship sank, the investors wouldn't lose everything.
Okay, limited liability.
Now, corporations offer huge advantages, especially for the wealthy. The biggest one. A corporation can pay its expenses before it pays taxes,
Whereas an individual employee earns money, gets taxed on it immediately.
and then tries to pay all their expenses with what's left over.
It's a massive difference.
Huge. A corporation spends legitimately on anything related to the business, salaries, travel, supplies, you name it, and then gets taxed only on the profit that remains, if any.
Plus, it offers legal protection, right? Shielding personal wealth from business lawsuits.
Yes, significant protection. Wealth can be held within corporate structures, separate from the individual. It's like playing a different, smarter financial game. They're operating under a different rule book.
So building this kind of financial savvy, this financial IQ, what does that actually involve? He breaks it down, doesn't he?
He does, into 4 key areas of expertise. First is accounting.
Financial literacy 101, reading the numbers.
Yep, understanding income statements, balance
Right.
sheets, cash flow. If you can't read the numbers, you're flying blind.
Okay, second.
Investing. This is the science, or maybe the art, of making money make more money. Strategies, formulas, understanding risk and reward,
Third.
understanding markets. Basically the science of supply and demand. Why do prices move? He mentions 2 aspects here, the technical side.
Like market sentiment, investor psychology, chart patterns, driven by emotion.
Often, yeah, and the fundamental side, which is more about the actual economic health or value of the investment. Company earnings, management quality, intrinsic value. You need to grasp both.
And the fourth area.
Law. Not becoming a lawyer, but understanding the rules of the game, especially tax advantages and legal structures that protect assets.
Like using corporations or trusts.
Exactly. Or knowing specific tax codes like the 1031 exchange in real estate. That lets you defer capital gains taxes when you sell one investment property and roll the proceeds into another. It's about knowing how the system can work for you.
Mastering those 4 seems like the recipe for strategic financial thinking. Being proactive, not just reactive.
Absolutely. Which ties into lesson 5. The rich invent money.
Okay, that sounds intriguing. What does invent money mean? It's not counterfeiting this time, right? No.
Definitely not. It means that wealth, especially now in the information age, is often created more from ideas and agreements than from just physical labor or stuff.
So bringing people or concepts together, seeing opportunities others miss?
Precisely. He stresses that luck is created. Your mind is your greatest asset. If you train it, you can generate wealth by solving problems or structuring deals in creative ways. Money, in this sense, is just an idea we all agree on.
But that takes guts, doesn't it? He talks about courage.
Huge point. Financial genius isn't just about knowing stuff. It requires boldness. So many people are held back by fear, by self-doubt.
Fear of losing money, fear of failure.
Exactly. Knowing the right answers isn't enough if you don't have the courage to actually act on them, to take calculated risks.
He identifies specific obstacles that stop people, even smart people.
Yeah, 5 main ones that block that financial flow. The first is fear. Everyone feels it when it comes to money.
Fear of losing it all.
Totally natural. But the difference is how you manage it. He talks about adopting a Texan attitude. When you win, you brag modestly. When you lose, you still brag about how much you learned. It's about resilience. And starting early helps compounding, makes losses less impactful over time.
Okay, fear is number 1. What else?
Cynicism, that constant doubt that it'll never work attitude. Cynics focus on the risks, the potential downsides, the what-ifs.
Like complaining about tenants or toilets if you suggest real estate.
Exactly. They focus on the noise and miss the opportunity.
Yeah.
As he says, cynics criticize, winners analyze. They play it too safe and stay stuck.
Third obstacle.
Laziness. And often it's mental laziness. Saying I can't afford it is easy. It shuts down thought.
Whereas asking, how can I afford it, forces you to think, to find solutions.
Right. It engages your brain. Laziness keeps you passive.
Makes sense. Fourth.
Bad habits. Our lives are reflections of our habits. And the most critical financial habit, pay yourself first.
Meaning, put money into your asset column before you pay bills.
Yes, even if it's just a small amount, build that habit, that discipline. Don't wait for extra money at the end of the month, because for most people it never shows up. Use the pressure of needing to pay bills as motivation to find more income, not as an excuse to skip investing.
That takes serious discipline.
It does. And the final obstacle is arrogance.
How does arrogance hurt financially?
Because arrogance is often just a mask for ignorance. If you think you already know everything, you stop learning. You dismiss new ideas or advice from experts, and that leads to mistakes, often costly ones, because you're operating on incomplete or outdated information.
So overcoming these internal blocks is crucial, which ties into lesson 6. Work to learn, don't work for money.
This is about your career choices. Don't just chase the highest paycheck or the job title or the perceived security.
Look for the skills you'll gain.
Exactly. Choose jobs, especially early on, based on what they will teach you. See your career as a learning journey that builds your overall capability, not just a way to pay bills today.
He shared that story about the journalist, right? The one who wanted to be a best-selling author.
Yeah, brilliant writer, master's degree in English Lit. But her books weren't selling. Robert told her she needed to learn sales.
And she was offended, thought it was beneath her.
Totally offended. I'm a professional. I have a master's. But Robert pointed out, look, I'm a terrible writer. You're a great writer. I learned sales. You didn't. Put great writing and great sales skills together, then you get a best-selling author.
So sometimes the missing piece isn't directly related to your core expertise.
Often it isn't. She was one skill away, sales and marketing, from achieving her dream.
Which underlines his point about avoiding over-specialization.
Right. Being too specialized can make you vulnerable if your industry changes or your specific skill becomes obsolete. He advocates knowing a little about a lot, being more adaptable.
Especially developing those soft skills.
Absolutely critical. Sales, marketing, communication, negotiation, leadership, understanding people. These are valuable everywhere. He even forced himself to work in Xerox sales, even though he was shy, specifically to conquer his fear of rejection and learn how to sell.
Wow. That's commitment to learning.
It is.
Well,
And then there's a final, maybe less obvious principle he discusses,
what's that?
the power of giving, the idea of reciprocity.
If you want something first, you need to give it away.
That's the essence. He talks about his rich dad tithing, giving away a portion of his income even when money was tight, believing it would come back multiplied.
It's a principle found in many traditions.
It is. The idea is that your external world reflects your internal state. Want more sales? Help someone else sell something. Want knowledge? Teach someone. Giving creates flow.
Okay, that's a lot of powerful philosophy and lessons. How does he suggest putting it into practice? He has those actionable steps, right?
Yes, the 10 steps to awaken your financial genius. They're designed as a process, not just isolated tips.
What's one of the foundational ones?
A big one is find a reason greater than reality. You need a powerful emotional why.
Not just, I want to be rich.
No, deeper than that. Combining strong wants, freedom, travel, helping family with strong don't wants, like never being dependent, escaping the rat race. That emotional fuel keeps you going when you hit inevitable roadblocks.
That makes a lot of sense. You need that deep motivation. What about that pay yourself first habit we mentioned? How does he frame that as a step?
He really emphasizes the discipline aspect. It's about making investing in your assets the absolute top priority before bills get paid. It sounds counterintuitive, maybe even irresponsible to some.
Pay yourself before you pay the government or the landlord.
That's the challenge. His point is, if you pay yourself first, the pressure to pay your bills will force you to find ways to generate more income or be more creative financially. Don't dip into savings or investments to pay bills. Let the pressure motivate you. It builds financial muscle.
Okay, that's a radical reframing. What's another key step?
Teach and you shall receive. We touched on this. Actively sharing what you're learning forces you to understand it better yourself.
Right. Explaining it solidifies it in your own mind.
Exactly. And, he believes, it attracts more knowledge and opportunities back to you. It creates a positive cycle of learning and abundance.
So these steps are about mindset, discipline, and continuous learning.
And action. Always action.
Now, thinking about the end goal, financial freedom, Kiyosaki differentiates income types, doesn't he?
Yes, crucial distinction. 3 main types. First, ordinary earned income.
That's your paycheck from a job, usually the highest tax.
Right. Second, portfolio income. Money from paper assets, stocks, bonds, dividends, capital gains, generally taxed more favorably than earned income.
And third,
Passive income, typically from real estate rentals or businesses you own but don't actively manage day to day, often the most tax-advantaged income.
So the strategic goal is,
Convert your earned income into passive and portfolio income as quickly and efficiently as possible. Play the game smarter by shifting income into those more favorable categories. The system rewards investors more than employees tax-wise,
it really comes down to recognizing your most powerful asset.
which are your mind and your time. Every day, every dollar, you have a choice.
A choice to be rich, poor, or middle class, based on how you use those resources.
And it's not necessarily about having a lot of money to start. Remember that example he gives of his friend?
The one who started with just under $8,000.
Yeah, $7,900. Used financial intelligence, bought a house cheap in a down market, paid down the principal aggressively with extra income, used a 1031 exchange to defer taxes when selling,
Rolled it into a bigger investment?
into a mini storage facility. And that ended up generating over $3,000 a month, funding his kids' college and his own early retirement.
That's incredible. It really shows it's about the thinking, the strategy, not just the starting capital.
Exactly. That proves the point.
Yeah.
It doesn't take money to make money. It takes financial intelligence.
And speaking of delivering financial strategy, you mentioned earlier our sources included a blueprint for another podcast, Block and Wealth.
That's right. It was interesting to see how its structure aims to apply some of these principles of sharing knowledge.
How so? What was compelling about its blueprint?
Well, it laid out a clear path, a quick intro, then the main content as a natural conversation like this, focusing on practical ideas and examples. Then a specific reflection moment, tying it back to personal growth or habits.
And then an outro.
Yep, concise outro, call to subscribe, and a strong tagline. Wealth isn't luck, it's strategy. It seemed really focused on delivering actionable insights through engaging dialogue.
So a good example of trying to teach financial principles effectively.
Definitely. It echoes that idea of teaching to learn and creating value by sharing useful knowledge.
So wrapping this all up, what's the big takeaway for you, our listener? This deep dive, I think, really shows that financial independence isn't just about your salary.
Not at all. It's fundamentally about how you think about money, how you handle the emotions tied to it, fear, greed, desire, and crucially, your commitment to keep learning and applying these strategic ideas.
It's about empowering yourself, right, to get your money working for you so you're not just endlessly running in that rat race.
It really is. Shifting that internal conversation from I can't to how can I? And then having the courage to seek knowledge and take those calculated steps.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into financial intelligence based on Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
We really hope these insights spark something for you, maybe make you look at your own finances with fresh eyes, maybe some new determination.
For more deep dives that make complex topics simple, make sure you subscribe to The Deep Dive wherever you get your podcasts.
And we'll leave you with this to chew on. Money obviously has a huge grip on people's lives, often through fear and desire. So what if you truly started to redefine money, not as this powerful, tangible thing, but just as an idea? How might fully embracing that perspective change your daily financial choices and ultimately your sense of freedom?